We do have some breaking news coming into our newsroom right now. Charlie Kirk has passed away as a result of the shooting incident that occurred this afternoon in Utah Valley University. That is where he was speaking, part of his Prove Me Wrong series. He'd taken the stage. He'd only been on stage for about 20 minutes doing a Q&A with the audience members there, and that is when there was a single gunshot. That gunshot hit him in the neck. They rushed him to the hospital, and we were told for a while he was in critical condition. Obviously, they were doing their best to save his life, and as a result of the way he was hit and where he was hit, we're getting word now that he has passed away. This is a live picture right now. This is Orem, Utah Valley University. It was a big turnout. 300, 500 people had shown up to hear him speak and be a part of this event. We should also tell you that we were reporting that a suspect had been taken into custody, and we'd shown an image of an alleged suspect who police believed was the shooting suspect. We can now tell you that image of that individual is not the shooting suspect. We don't have any other information at this time regarding that. But 31 years old, Charlie Kirk, a husband, a father, a big time following. Whether you agreed with him or did not agree with him, he had a huge following. He always wanted to engage in different topics and really just encourage dialogue as a way to put aside differences or to argue differences or what have you. The host of the Charlie Kirk Show, the co-founder of Turning Point USA, ran a podcast as well, and this is Charlie Kirk has passed away in Orem, Utah. We are going to continue to stay with this image right now. This is the university. There was a big event. It was from 9 in the morning until 4 o'clock, and Charlie Kirk had taken the stage about noon. The witnesses who were there talk about how he was answering questions. One of the questions that was asked had to do with religion. He answered that question. The second question, which was asked, had to do with mass shootings, linking that to gun violence and transgender community, something to that nature. And as he began to answer that question, he had just said a couple of words. That is when witnesses say there was a single shot fired. Went straight into his neck. He slumped over, he fell over. They rushed to get him to the hospital to try to save his life. All the people that were there, incredibly shocked and scared, ducked. There's lots of video floating around right now because everyone was filming, so you have images from many perspectives and angles going around. We do have some witness sound right now, so let's, why don't we get to that right now? Let's see. Okay, we are going to work on that. Obviously, reaction right now, the pure shock of it all. The witnesses we have been hearing from, they're very shaken, visibly, understandably, literally, as they speak. The panic that ensued, 500 people just took off and ran because they didn't know where the shots were being fired, if there would be more shooting. Everyone felt as though their life was in danger, so everyone took off. But like as I mentioned, there's so much footage out there, and this is definitely going to be, of course, part of the investigation, especially now that we're hearing that the alleged shooter, the individual they thought was responsible for this, we're told ended up not being the suspect. So this is going to raise a lot more questions. The investigation is just going to get underway. But the big news, the big story, this moment right here, as we froze that image, that is the moment right here where someone's asking the question. A couple seconds later, he picked up that mic to answer, and that is when he was hit. Charlie Kirk passed away just a short time ago at the age of 31. It's just really a sad day, a sad day where people have come together to listen to someone speak. It was a safe environment. There was some talk about whether or not there was security present on the campus there, and there wasn't really much security, and they talk about how, it's a college campus, everyone felt safe. It wasn't supposed to be anything out of the ordinary. They do these types of events often. He goes around speaking to large audiences. This is a college campus. Majority of the people attending were college students, and then of course the locals there. So there wasn't really a heavy police presence. Some security around, but nothing that nothing out of the ordinary. So we don't know if that would have made a difference. He was kind of an open target there, sitting there in front of that large audience under that tarp. He was accessible. People could approach him if they wished. But there you have it. 31 years old, Charlie Kirk passed away. A father of 2 young children, a boy and a girl. I believe his son just turned 1 a few months ago. So he leaves behind his family. He leaves behind his father. He leaves behind a huge community of followers, and really he done a lot of work to bring the youth into the conversation and really get them engaged in things that matter, things that people should think about when they vote, just talking about life and what role politics should play, and whether or not you agreed with him or not. One of the things he was known for was the fact that he would engage in dialogue with people he didn't necessarily agree with, and that was kind of his thing, where he was able to just say, hey, we may not agree, but let's have a conversation. In fact, that is when Governor Gavin Newsom in March was a guest on his podcast, and it was widely viewed because it was interesting to hear from 2 people who may not agree on many topics coming together and discussing this. So his voice is now silenced. We do have that witness sound, so let's go to that now.
And we had a nice conversation back and forth. We disagreed, of course, and then we kind of just ended it at that. With the historical evidences, he tried to hold to the Bible a lot more in regards to archaeological evidences, which is not really what I was asking. But after I got done talking to him, I really couldn't exit because there's such a big crowd. So I turned around, and like 10 to 20 seconds later, after I got done talking to Charlie, I saw that he was shot in the neck and that he was squirting blood everywhere. But I was piecing things together, and it was really weird because the second guest that I talked to, before I went and asked him the question, what I was going to ask him, he was talking to him about how he was going to ask about transgenderism or something like that, but nothing about shootings. And this is the irony that came to me, which was like, right when he asked that, not like 5-10 seconds later, he was shot. And not only that, right after that, someone confessed to it who had no weapon, which makes me think that it was clearly a setup and that multiple people were involved. So, but prior to that, that's all I saw because everyone was squirming.
Right, you're hearing from a witness speak. There's so many witnesses. This was a huge event. So many people were there to hear Charlie Kirk speak. So what we can tell you right now is that Charlie Kirk has passed away. He passed away in the hospital. They did their best to save his life, but they were unable to do so. The image you just saw was seconds before he was shot, a single shot to the neck, and this resulted in his death ultimately. The individual they had taken into custody was determined not to be the suspect. This right here is a live image, actually, of the campus there, Utah Valley University. Heavy police presence, as you can see. So the suspect is at large at this point, from what we understand. There was a commotion. They thought they had the individual, and that was not the individual in question. So this is going to be very much an active scene, dealing with the investigation, also dealing with the shock of what has happened. 31 years old, Charlie Kirk has passed away. A father, a husband, leaves behind a family, and his voice was silenced today on September 10th. Much more to come. Stay with us. The story we're continuing to follow. More to come at 5 o'clock this evening.